Welcome to Table Talk, where there's always room at the table. I am your host, Jonathan Harmon of the J. Harmon Home Team, and we can't wait to talk to these fine guests. Enjoy the show. Are we live?
Oh, we're live.
We're live?
Yes,
outstanding. Sir. Hello, everybody. My name is Jonathan Harmon. I'm with the J. Harmon Home Team, and we are powered by Keller Williams. And I have this big wad of notes in front of me, and Miss Brittany Stevens was looking at it, and she was like, nope. So we're brainstorming. Trent and I are brainstorming on some ways to improve the show and make it a little more lively, but we're not going to do that yet today. So we'll talk about it later at the end of the show. I've got I cast like this big net, Brittany, and then I try to pull it in. You know what I mean? And sometimes I pull in old shoes, and it's just not worth pursuing. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Yes. But we still cast the nets, doggone it.
We sure do.
So anyway, I've got Miss Brittany Stevens here with me, and I almost forgot. You almost let me forget, Trent. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, you're looking good over there. I like the white hat.
Thank you. Pumped to be here.
Yep, always. And we've got a little business to do. So Mr. Bryan Nale with First Horizon Mortgage. I don't know why I can't get used to saying First Horizon Mortgage for him.
Yeah.
You know,
it's going to take a little bit.
It is, but it's a good thing. So Bryan over there at First Horizon, my buddy, my favorite mortgage lender. Do you know Bryan?
I do.
Is he not just awesome?
He's wonderful.
He is a fantastic guy, and smart, and just like genuinely cares about helping the people that he interacts with.
Yes.
And I just love that about him.
Yes.
So Bryan, thank you for helping spread the positive and helping to bring light to what's going right.
That's it.
And for sponsoring us here at Table Talk. So here we are. We're at the table. I've got Miss Brittany Stevens. How's it going?
Yay.
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you were excited up until we sat down and started going over that sheet, and you're like, oh man. She goes, why did I agree to do this? And I was like, it'll be okay. Trust me. I'll be okay. You'll be okay. But Brittany, we've known each other. We were talking about this for quite some time. We used to go to church together, and you and your brother Robert has a successful law firm. You've got a successful law career as well. And how in the world, first of all, did we end up with two brother and sister dynamic duo attorneys in the family? Why in the world would you guys do that to yourselves and your parents? Yes, exactly.
We ask ourselves and our parents that all the time.
So you've been an attorney for how long?
Almost 10 years now.
Okay. And in addition to being an attorney, you have several other little kind of side things going on. Am I right about that? Some fashion stuff and
I used to.
Yeah.
I'm no longer doing that.
You're not?
No.
I didn't know that. But what you did do is you created a book, and it is incredible. So I was just kind of flipping through. I'll be honest, I haven't looked at it yet. I mean, I've looked at pieces of it, but I didn't realize the depth that you went into. And basically, you got together with a whole bunch of business owners and creators and managers and small business people in the town of Smyrna, and you wrote about them, and you compiled it, and it is like the who's who of Smyrna businesses, isn't it?
Yes.
Including history and all kinds of stuff. So tell me, why did you do this? Because there's a lot. I mean, how many hours are in this book?
That book took me 9 months to put together.
Okay, that's a long time. And so how many businesses are in here?
There are 47.
And you've interviewed at least one person from each of those businesses? Yes. What is the number one thing you learned out of 47 interviews, 47 plus, because I'm sure there was multiple for some of them, 47 plus interviews? What's the number one thing you learned? Just
how much they love their hometown, how much they love the community. It's just amazing. You flip through the pages of that book. One thing that you'll see over and over again is things like we've been sponsors for the Smyrna Rotary Wings of Freedom Fish Fry for over 10 years, some of them over 20 years. And their level of community involvement, it's just really amazing.
Well, and from that to the Little League team, to the Eagle Scout, to I know Jenny Williams over there at Gil's Ace Hardware. I mean, if you're an Eagle Scout and you haven't, or an aspiring Eagle Scout, I should say, and you haven't talked to Jenny Williams, you're missing out.
And, she actually talks about that in the book.
Yeah. I didn't know. See, look at that. And
Yes, she's an amazing. Yes, Jenny. I love Jenny. She just does so much for the community.
she's one of my favorite human beings.
Yes,
for
same
sure.
here. Same here.
So why this? What, did you like wake up one night and be like, oh, I got to do this? Like, where did this come from?
So the idea for the book came to me just to kind of go back in time, say it's 2020. Of course, we all know how that year transpired. And I really hated seeing what was happening. Every time you turn on TV, you kept hearing about all these small businesses that were shutting down. They could not survive the pandemic. And that really hit closer to home when I would go to some of these small businesses to, go get lunch, coffee, go to the cleaners, whatever the case may be. And you could just see the stress in these small business owners' eyes. You just see the stress, and they would some of them were in tears, because I've known a lot of these folks for many years, and they would just say things like, we don't know how much longer this is going to go on. We don't know if we can survive this or not. And that just really devastated me. And it really got my attention when the newspaper covered City Cafe, and City Cafe was about to close their doors.
Longest running restaurant.
I think they've been in business now for 120 years.
They are,
City Cafe, of course, as you know, is a family-owned business that's been in their family for many generations. Some of these businesses, of course, are family businesses as well. And, I look at City Cafe, and that just really surprised me. They're such a staple on the square and, of course, in the community. And so I just thought to myself, this is awful. I'm only one person. What can I do? And maybe there's something I can do. And so it started by, I posted about some of these small businesses on Facebook. So I would visit, let's say, Carpe Cafe, and I would snap a photo there and just kind of talk about, why I love Carpe Cafe, just tell a little bit of information about the business, and how much I appreciate them, and and really try to educate people and inspire them to go to these local businesses. And so I did that for about maybe 4 or 5 businesses. And then I posted about, do you know Tony Rayana from our church? Of Tony's Shoe Repair. Tony is a phenomenal cobbler. I did not know that. 93 years young. Yeah. And he's from Colombia, and he talks about that in the book, his journey to Smyrna. And he used to actually be a cobbler in the Nashville arcade. So he's fixed shoes for many years. But so I posted a couple of photos of Tony and I holding my shoes, just talking about Tony.
You let him fix your shoes?
Oh yeah, he's fixed my shoes.
That's
for
a thing,
years.
Brittany.
Yes. So he's really good. But so I just, kind of told a little story about Tony and what a jewel he is, and how we've gone to church together for over 20 years. Just real simple. And again, just encouraging people, hey, Tony can do the X, Y, and Z. He can fix shoes, bags, leather, whatever the case may be. And something amazing happened. That post, it got hundreds of likes, comments, and shares. And next thing I know, one of the local newspapers contacts me, and they say, hey, we see how much traffic this post is generating. Could we write a story about this and maybe use parts of your post? And so I said, absolutely.
And all of a sudden, Tony has more business than he wants.
Well, and so he ended up getting on the front page. He got a pretty big page, or a pretty big size on the front page of the paper. But here's the cool thing. That article drove enough sales to his business to keep him going throughout all of this.
Wow.
And so that's when it hit me. I thought, you know what? And throughout this time, people kept telling things like, we really like reading these posts, and these businesses, we had no idea they existed. Keep these posts coming. So I thought, all right, well, like I said, I'm one person, but I can talk about, share about my friends and the businesses that I love, in hopes other people will go and support them. But then, once I saw how much momentum these posts were getting, I thought, social media is so ephemeral. It's here today, gone tomorrow. What if we did a book about it? What if we compiled all this information and shared these stories, but did it in such a way that we could not only hear straight from the business owner, but preserve their stories and pass them down for generations to come? And so that's what we did.
So you printed this book last year, right? Is that right?
Yes, 21? I published it in September of 2021.
And is this something that because you got 47 businesses in here. Unfortunately, not all of them will exist, say 5 years from now. And fortunately, 2 years from now, there'll be other businesses as well. Smyrna is still growing. Is this something that you intend to have volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, maybe do it every other year, something along those lines?
I think time will tell, but a lot of folks have already reached out and said, hey, okay, when's volume 2 coming? And there were actually some businesses that wanted to participate, but for whatever reason, some of them maybe had deaths in their family, or for whatever reason, they could not participate.
Mhm.
So that book is merely a snapshot of some of the
For sure.
There's so many more.
Well, Smyrna's got 50,000 people,
Right,
give or take,
right.
and 47 businesses. That's a lot.
That's a lot, yes.
But it's not.
It's just a snapshot. And for me, it was really important I really wanted to present this information in such a way that showcased that in nearly every industry, there's a local option.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to have all restaurants or all this or all that. I really wanted to have a very diverse and eclectic mix. And so we have businesses that have been in business for under 5 years. So
Mhm.
some of our more newer and up and coming businesses, then we also have businesses that I call the local legacies that have been in business for over 40 years.
Right.
And what's so fascinating is the local legacies, of course, they responded to some of the same questions about their business and whatnot, but they also talk about the history and some of how the small business landscape of Smyrna, how that used to look. And it is fascinating. I truly loved working on this book. I had an absolute blast. I learned so much, and I have an even bigger appreciation for these people than I did prior to putting this out.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of looking through your table of contents and just the names that are. I mean, this is honestly, it's a who's who. And then there's a few things on here. I grew up in Smyrna. It's home.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. Custom cup sleeves.
Yes.
I had no idea. We have a guy, and I just kind of
Yes.
flipped to his page that makes the little cardboard
Yes.
sleeves that go on coffee cups
Yes.
or various things.
Yes.
Which is super cool. And
you know what? I didn't know about him either, but Ron Alley told me about him because that's who Carpe Cafe uses.
So local business uses a local business.
Yep.
I love
And you'll
that.
see a lot of that throughout the book.
Now, I'm interested to know because, the very first one is Rayburn Insurance, and it says, as told by Baker Rayburn.
Yes.
It's only 7 pages long. Now, I know Baker very, very well, and I imagine that he probably gave you significantly more than 7 pages worth of information.
He may have given me a little bit more.
I love you, Baker. I do.
Yes, we love Baker.
Yep. And
we love Rayburn Insurance.
We do. That's who does my insurance.
Yes.
And the very second one is very near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
So Joe's Custom Cakes and Catering, my Aunt Joe.
Yes.
And
wonderful lady.
Oh my gosh, she's the best. I am biased, but dude, she really is.
Well,
the best.
she really is. I mean, she's an amazing person, an amazing caterer.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And it's so cool to flip through here. And Biscuit Media Group. I've never heard of Biscuit Media Group, but you know what? I'm going to read this.
Yes.
And I'm going to learn about them because that's pretty awesome. And it's a great name because I love biscuits.
Yes.
And I love media. So
perfect.
Why would it not go together? Right? Now, if they have gravy to go with it, then I'm in.
Yes.
So I'm actually, I'll be honest, I'm a little jealous because I would love to write a book like this. Because there's nothing, this is what we do on this show, right? There's nothing better than sitting down and hearing people's story, hearing about their journey, hearing about what they're doing right, all the stuff that they did wrong to get there. And I look at this and I know the majority of the people in here, and I know they've done a lot of things right and they've done a lot of things wrong, and they've learned and they've grown and they've succeeded and they've overcome. And that, isn't that like every feel-good story?
Yes. Yes. And what's so fascinating is, you nailed it. What's so fascinating about this book is each of these spotlights, it's in the business owner's own words.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing for me to talk about, this business is amazing. Here's why you should go, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you get to hear straight from the people that lived through it. And so they share all about their backstory, the inspiration behind their business, kind of the why behind their business. They talk about, how they got their start and that type of thing. They share about some of their proudest milestones, their biggest challenges. And then they really, and of course, information about their business. So what, the goods and services they may provide, but then they really hone in on that local theme. What does it mean to support local, and why is supporting local so important? Because again, it's one thing for me to talk about that, but to hear it from these people, especially after COVID, it's really, it's just amazing.
So I've got all kinds of questions. So question number 1 for Brittany Stevens, for the author, why is it important to support local?
Oh,
I've heard all the talking points, right? But for
Yes.
you, why is it important to support local?
Well, again, I mean, these local businesses, anytime you go and support a local business, I think it's 68% of every dollar is reinvested back into the local economy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, and that goes to help support roads and other projects.
As opposed to sending it outside of here where a significantly smaller
Sure.
portion, if any,
Yeah.
stays local.
You know, and again, these local businesses, they really step up to support our nonprofits, our little league teams. You know, you just think about how much Smyrna has grown over the last 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, it seems like every time there's some kind of community event, you see a lot of those people there. You see the sponsors.
Absolutely.
And they don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't have to do that. I mean, you know how it is being a small business owner. It's hard, and you get hit up a lot.
All
people
the time.
Yes, all the time. And you want to help everybody, but you
Right.
also want to keep your lights turned on too. So you've got to strike a fine balance. So, but I just really wanted this, this book is just a way to celebrate these small businesses and just share their stories. And
what is the most surprising thing from this? Like, what was your biggest aha moment in writing this book?
Well, writing a book is definitely a process.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a voracious reader. I love reading, love books. I know my way around the library and the bookstore. I read about, between 50 to 100 books a year.
Wow.
But there's a fine difference between reading and consuming a book as opposed to writing and publishing a book.
No doubt.
And so that was definitely very eye-opening for me. I knew it would be a challenge because I think that there's a survey where 81, then the number is kind of a moving target, but where between 81 and 90% of people want to publish a book someday, but only 1% of people actually do it.
Is it really that low?
That's what I've read, and it's definitely a low number. But you know what though? I believed in this project so much, and I knew that if I could get these business owners on board and to participate, that if we could pull this off, we could make it happen, and it would be something really special. And that's what we did. I mean, I could not have put this book together without the people that are spotlighted.
For sure. Okay, I know you're not supposed to do this, but I need you to tell me which one was your favorite story.
Maybe you're going to ask that.
Come on, spill it. Your favorite story, not your favorite business, but your favorite story, maybe your favorite interview, maybe you're like, holy cow, I can't believe, like, I'm growing from this interview type scenario.
Yes. So as you said, I certainly can't give a favorite because I've been so vested in this project that it would almost be like picking a favorite child or pet or something.
Everybody has a favorite child.
Yes.
Don't let them tell you.
How about I give you a few that were really insightful or that were just, wow, I had no idea.
Top 3. You're limited to 3.
Okay. Of course, I could always come back and say, "Oh, my brother Robert Stevens is in there," but
and the views expressed by Brittany Stevens in this question do not necessarily reflect the views of Table Talk or
so
Brittany
no
Stevens.
Pressure. Wow, I tell you what, it's I really learned something from every single one of those spotlights. It's just because again, they all have very unique backgrounds, unique businesses. They all have unique journeys, and so there's definitely something to glean from every single one of them. I think the Bella Vista Coffee Shop, her story is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
She came to this country from Venezuela, and she was basically forced out of their country along with a lot of people over there. And so she came over here and started that coffee shop and didn't know much English, didn't know any English, let alone how to actually run a business. But what they've done in a short amount of time has been really fascinating. And she talks in there about that. And
it's a cool little place too. I love this spot.
Yes, it's very cool. It's very eclectic. They're very involved. And she talks about that, how much she respects this country and respects the rule of law. And, and she talks about how much it means to her anytime a police officer comes in there or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they have amazing food. But that was really interesting. So, and of course, she's one of the younger businesses. So that was really interesting.
4 years now, 5 years?
2018, so about 4 years, and they're actually about to expand their business.
Really?
So, yes,
that's
I think
exciting.
that's amazing. but yeah, I mean, reading about, I mean, you can go through there. They're all so insightful, and there's something in there for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I mean, you hear about their ups and downs. So it's just, you learn a lot. You learn a lot. And what you'll hear from some of these people is figured it out along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that a lot. You know, how do you, I'll start a business when I've got everything kind of lined up, and, you know, I'm going to get into real estate investing when I've got enough money and I've attended enough classes. And I'm like, no, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
the best time to plant a tree is now. The best other time is yesterday.
That's it. That's it. So I'm going to ask this one. Which one was the most boring? I have a guess as to which one that was. Probably starts on page 215 would be my guess.
And who's that?
That's Stevens Law.
Oh.
So, yeah. I hope you're watching, Robert. Love you, buddy. Mean it. We can always pick at your brother, you know?
Well, we can. But, you know, Robert talks about how, you know, Freedom Playground. And, you know, he was Rotary Club president.
That's his baby. Well, and he started it.
Well, and you were in Rotary, of course. The whole Rotary Club in the town of Smyrna, and what they did with the Freedom Playground. He talks about that.
Yeah.
And that was really special.
Well, I give him a lot of credit for that. So him and I just went totally blank. Who was it that he worked with on that?
Oh, Bill.
Yes. Sorry. I went totally blank. I mean, they spearheaded that.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
So, okay. So did you, like you mentioned that you didn't know about the custom cup sleeves, and you said that Ron kind of got you over to them. What's another business that you discovered just in the process of writing this? You discovered that business existed that you didn't even know about.
That was probably the one that I feel like I knew most of the other businesses. Yeah, I feel like I knew most of the other businesses, but what was also really interesting is just, and I very intentionally did this to kind of extract this information out of them, but I wanted to connect the dots between the businesses and how they help one another. So, for example, Carpe Cafe uses custom cup sleeves, and Gennardi's uses Carpe Cafe's coffee beans in their ice cream, which is amazing, by the way.
Yes.
And a lot of these businesses, they go to Front Street Sign Company. So I really tried to set it up in that kind of way, just to kind of give people ideas of how they can use some of these businesses.
Yep, for sure. All right. So who would be on volume 2 that's not in here? Who are you? Who's a business right now that didn't get into the book for whatever reason that you're really you're really feeling right now?
So I did try to get HG Cole.
Oh, bless HG.
And
love that guy.
I know I don't want to say I cornered him several times. I was like, okay, HG, so when are we going to get together? And so I would like for him, because they've been around for so many years, and just their community involvement, and also that history piece.
Yeah, for sure. So, his dad and everything else.
Yeah, he's one of the local legacy businesses. And again, I just think that we need to preserve that information and pass those stories down.
You know, one of the things I love about a town like Smyrna and Murfreesboro to some extent as well, but it's more, to me, it's more blatantly obvious. And maybe it's just because I grew up there, is the fingerprints of these people all over the place, right? So you see Jenny Williams' fingerprints all over the town of Smyrna. You see HG's fingerprints all over the town of, you see Mary Esther's fingerprints all over the Coon Victory. You see all these people, and you're like, oh, there he is. You know, the ginkgo tree planted right there by the railroad tracks. Well, that's Grady Cole's tree. Like, it's planted in his memory, you know, and then it's the Rotary Club. I mean, it's like, man, their fingerprints are everywhere.
Yes.
And that's just, I don't know, that's very cool in a town like that.
Yes.
So, all right, what's next on this? Are you going to do it? I want you to commit. Are you going to do volume 2?
I will likely do a volume 2 at some point.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Outstanding. I knew I cornered you, right? Did you see how I did that? What do you think next year? By next year?
I think it just depends. I think it depends on how many new businesses or how many businesses may not have been in the first volume. So we'll see. We'll see. I've also had a lot of folks say, so are we going to have the Murfreesboro Spotlights?
I mean, it's a logical question, right?
That's the thing.
You can franchise this. You know, you could franchise this book series and do it all over the place.
Yes, there are.
She's like, shut up.
Several-
I'm working on that.
Dang it. I'm surprised you didn't slide me an NDA on that one. But so last question, and then I'm gonna let you just say whatever you want to finish up. Actually, I have one other question at the end of that. What is from a book writing standpoint, if I'm an aspiring author, I'm in that 90% and I want to be in the 1%. Okay. What's the one biggest lesson that you learned? Obviously, organization's important. I mean, like there's all kinds of things, right? But what's the like biggest thing out of writing this book that you went, I had no idea. And if somebody had told me that, this process would have been significantly easier.
Well, I think as far as if I'm giving advice to an aspiring author, I would say consistency is the most important.
What do you mean by that?
So for me, how I wrote this book is I woke up at 4:30 every morning and I did something every morning.
For 9 months.
Just about 9 months, yes. Well, I'm an early bird naturally, so I like to get up early and like to work on stuff before I head to the office. But yeah,
you see how big my eyes are getting? I'm like 4:30 every morning. Not gonna happen.
Listen, I love early mornings. I love coffee, reading, and just doing things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to start the day. But yeah, I mean, for anybody that's thinking about writing a book, it's a lot of work, but it's definitely if your heart's in it. Then there were some mornings where I would wake up at 3 a.m. just without an alarm, or I was just chomping at the bit to work on this.
Yeah,
it's just, I mean, if you have an idea and you can't get it, you just have to get it out of you, then which that's what happened to me with this book. I had to, put it out there. I just couldn't stop thinking about it.
Sure.
But so I had a morning routine, got up at 4:30 every morning, did something. I was very intentional with my time. I would call some of these business owners to and from the office while I'm out walking my dog, while I would visit their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to be smart with your time.
You eat, live, and breathe this book for 9 months while you're making it.
Yes, that's but like I said, I really enjoyed working on it so much. I learned a lot, and I just, love the book publishing process.
How did you publish it? Did you have a finished copy or a transcript, manuscript, whatever you call it, and you handed it to someone and you said, publish this book? Did you have somebody that was already behind you? Like, how did you get it from, your notebook or your computer to an actual printed book?
So I self-published.
What does that mean?
So that means sometimes it's referred to as indie or independent publishing. So there's two types of publishing. You've got traditional publishing and self-publishing. Mm-hmm. I chose the self-publishing route because I wanted total control. Mm-hmm. I wanted creative control, time control, the business. I just wanted complete control, royalty control, all the things. And most people probably should go the self-publishing route. I was talking to Trent a few minutes ago, and traditional is typically, and I use air quotes there, typically for somebody with a huge platform, maybe somebody like a James Patterson or some very famous type of person. But I had a program on my computer and I just uploaded it. I uploaded it to Amazon, their KDP program. And so the beautiful thing about that is it's actually print on demand. So I'm not stuck with, a large inventory. Exactly. And so to me, I researched all the different options. I read a lot of articles, books, and, just to see what would be the most feasible solution to all of this. And self-publishing was definitely the best way to go about it.
Very cool.
But, what was so fascinating, though, is throughout this journey, I actually met a couple of best-selling authors. Mm-hmm. And one is actually in the book.
And they are Smyrna people?
Yes, one of them is. So my friend Zach Bohannon, I met him in November 2020, before this book even popped into my mind.
Well, he is very handsome. He is bald and has a beard. I mean, that's very handsome.
I mean, hey, bald.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
He would actually be a great podcast guest for you all.
I would love
we can
that.
talk off camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I met Zach, and which is a really funny story. But I met him, and I couldn't believe that I met an author in Smyrna. And he's published over 35 books. He's a best-selling Amazon author. And to me, that was amazing. I couldn't believe that. You hear that's very common in Nashville or New York or a big city.
Right.
But
not in Smyrna.
Yeah. I was like, that's amazing. And wanted to celebrate that. And so once this idea for Smyrna Spotlights came to me, he was really great. Every now and then I would ask him for book advice. I try not to just completely wear him out.
Sure.
But I would ask him questions here and there, and he was so gracious. He could have said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have time. James Patterson is coming on my podcast," or Matthew McConaughey, or he's at we're at different levels.
Yeah.
And but he was very gracious. He believed in this project. He was one of my biggest cheerleaders, and he's got a really fascinating spotlight all that he's done with his author events, and he introduced me to some really cool people in the publishing world as well.
That's awesome. All right, so you plugged yourself in. You already were, but now you really are plugged in with the small business community in Smyrna. What is something we're missing in the town of Smyrna? Throw somebody an idea for a business that we don't have.
So I love coffee. Coffee's always good.
Sure.
But we definitely have some great coffee.
We do, some big ones and little ones.
Coffee. So I am a foodie. I always love a good local restaurant. I would love to see. I think right now it's really fascinating to sit back and watch what's happening. And that's what's growing up in Smyrna, and just seeing and having a front row seat to the growth and innovation that's taken place, especially over the last 5 to 10 years, and just seeing, I feel like the quality of some of our small businesses, as far as we're getting a lot more niche small businesses, that's just been really interesting to watch. And I think that what we're seeing is almost a chain reaction to where, because they're really so plugged in and they're so successful, I think that that's going to attract more in the future. So I'm really excited to sit back and watch to see who all comes down.
And success tends to breed success, doesn't it?
Yes.
If they can do that, then I probably can do this.
Yes. Well, and I think too, the small business community in Smyrna and Rutherford County as a whole, and it's really great in Murfreesboro, but I think that there's such a camaraderie, and that's something else that was really special about putting this book together. Is we had a book launch party.
Oh yeah, I forgot to ask you about that.
And
I was at the depot, right?
Yes, the train depot, which is a central focus of Smyrna and of the book. And I really wanted it to be a very intimate gathering of mainly just the folks in the book, because just a night to celebrate them and really just to connect them, because you look around it, especially Front Street, and that's where in the Depot district. And I thought that would be a really great way to connect these people that way if they want to do other things in the future and just kind of get to know each other. And I kind of thought it would be a very small, intimate gathering, but we ended up having over 70 people. It was such a special night, and just seeing these business owners, some of them meeting for the very first time and opening the book up and saying, "Oh my goodness, that's Jim Africano did this. I know he's next door. He's great. He's in the book.
He's a riot, isn't he?
But if you've got a skunk at your house, then he will come and get it and make it disappear. That's right. But he's so great. But so Jim was one of those people, and Jenny Williams did this too, and say, look around, and they would go and like, oh my goodness, you're with Buckle and Hyde, or you're with such and just seeing these people take selfies and meet each other for the first time, and that we're all there to celebrate really not only just surviving this pandemic, but being in business for all these years. And it was a really special night. Joe West of Joe's Custom Cakes and Catering brought a beautiful book cake. And Barbara Potter Photography brought this really fun photo booth, and it was really special. So I think it's one of those nights that I will always remember for as long as I live.
That's awesome.
It's really special.
That's so cool. All right. Where can somebody get a copy of this?
So they can find the print version. Of course, it's on Amazon. They can find the print version also at some of the local businesses in the book: Gill's Ace Hardware, Carpe Cafe, Bella Vista Coffee Shop, the Salt Barn, Legacy Wine and Spirits, and Prohibition next door has some. And then there's also an ebook version, so they can go online to Amazon. Also, Barnes and Noble and through via Kobo as well.
Very cool. All right, get your copy of this, and I would encourage you to use this as a guide. You've got 47 businesses in here. You can go and visit, a business a week, something like that, and just go check them out. Learn a little bit, even if it's not something you're interested in, even if you have no desire to ever have custom coffee cup sleeves made. Go ask questions. Go say, hey, there they are. And just, I don't know, it's cool to see what people are doing, being industrious and being innovative. So check it out, Smyrna Spotlights. Be on the lookout for volume 2. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Is it going to be this lovely shade of pink as well?
To be determined.
I love it. Well, Brittany, I appreciate all that you do for the town of Smyrna, both with this and also with all the other endeavors that you undertake on a regular basis. You are an absolute gem for our community there in the town of Smyrna. So thank you for all you do. If you have any questions or if you need any more information about getting a copy of this book, give us a comment. We'll make sure we get that. And Trent's going to put the link for the Amazon link for the book in our comments as well. All right.
Well, thank you all so much, Jonathan and Trent. I love what y'all have done. I love Spread the Positive, and y'all have done a phenomenal job. And I'm honored to be here.
Well, when we get this part of it going, you're coming back, right? You're going to do
maybe we can talk off camera.
Controversial.
We've known each other too long.
We'll blur your face and we'll make your voice sound like mine. It'll be great.
Black curtains, the shadow.
She'll be like, rah, rah, rah. It'll be awesome.
I don't know, some of those topics you had written down. Like, I do not want to touch.
I'll be like, this is Miss Sydney Brevens.
I don't know. There's a lot of really fancy high-tech equipment around here, so I don't know if that's a good idea or not.
That'll be great. All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you listening and watching. Again, hit up Bryan Nale if you have any mortgage needs, or even if you don't have a mortgage need, but you're kind of concerned about the way interest rates are going. You want to have a conversation about what that means for the overall market. Hit me and Bryan up. The three of us will go sit and have coffee. It'll be fantastic. You'll learn something. I'll learn something. He'll learn something. It'll be great. I guess that's about it. Go out, have a good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you later, and we'll talk to you later as well. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.